atoms will have the same number of protons and electrons. So remember that within an atom, we have a central nucleus with the protons and the neutrons, and then the electrons orbit in shells. So this atom has 4 protons, and remember that this is the atomic number of the atom. And each proton has a charge of +1, so the protons have a total charge of +4. There are the same number of electrons, so 4 electrons in this case, which each have a charge of -1, so the total charge of the electrons is -4. This means that the atom has no overall charge, so the total charge becomes +4 minus 4, giving 0, as the charges cancel out. So is it possible for there to be a different number of electrons? Well, an ion is an atom that has gained or lost electrons. So if an atom gains electrons, it will gain a negative charge. This atom is the same as a previous atom, but with an extra electron. So we now have 5 electrons and 4 protons. So the ion now has a negative charge, and this is because the charge of the electrons is stronger than the charge of the protons. The overall charge becomes +4 minus 5, giving us an overall charge of -1. So we refer to this as a negative ion, and we can get even stronger negative ions if we add more electrons. For your exams, you should be able to define what an ion is. So how exactly do we make positive ions? Well, if an atom loses electrons, it will gain a positive charge. So this is the same as the initial atom again, but with an electron missing in this case. So we now have 3 electrons and also 4 protons. So the ion now has a positive charge, as the charge of the protons is stronger than the charge of the electrons. So the overall charge is given by +4 minus 3, giving us an overall charge of +1. So we can refer to this as a positive ion. We can get even stronger positive ions if we remove more electrons. So how exactly do we add or remove electrons? Ions can be made by transferring electrons between atoms. So electrons can be transferred from one atom to another. And this process is used to make chemical bonds. This creates a positive ion and also a negative ion. But the overall charge of the pair is still 0. So this process is known as ionization, and it can also occur because of ionizing radiation. For example, electrons can gain enough energy to escape the atom by absorbing energy from ionizing radiation. So how do we represent ions in atomic notation? Well, in atomic notation, a plus or a minus sign is used to denote the charge of an ion. So ions don't change the element of an atom, only its charge, because the nucleus doesn't change. So in atoms, there's no symbol in the top right, as the number of electrons doesn't change. Positive ions have a plus in the top right, and this is because electrons have been lost. In this case, just 1 has been lost. Negative ions have a minus in the top right, as electrons have been gained. In this example, 2 electrons have been gained. You don't need to know as much about ions for physics as you would for chemistry, but they're still very important in both subjects.
Thanks for watching. If you want to take your GCSE revision to the next level, head over to launchpadlearning.com and check out our smart learning platform that's been designed to get you top results in your exams. We cover your whole specification and make revision fun with interactive quizzes, easy to follow videos and more. You'll be kept motivated by your own AI tutor who's here to support you every step of the way. To check it out for yourself, click here. Or click here to keep watching a selection of the videos from our full GCSE Physics course. See you there!